the sewing tutorial for this mini skirt with built-in shorts. I have the pattern available on my Etsy, Sewing with Jenn, if you guys want to follow along. The pattern comes in a high, mid, and low rise. In addition to the classic mini skirt length, I also added an optional micro length if you guys want the shorts peeking out at the bottom. The pattern is layered separately by size for easier cutting, so off to the left is the layers icon. Toggle off the sizes you don't want and make sure to leave the piece info visible. To print, we're going to leave the orientation at auto, actual or 100% scale, and the style is grouped by rise, so only print the style you want. Refer back to the instructions booklet to see the specific sizes. In this tutorial, I'll be sewing the low rise micro. Now to piece together the pattern. I first want to mention that if you're sewing along, my pattern is going to look slightly different from yours since I was still making alterations while filming this, but it's still the same concept. Every page is numbered and it's organized alphabetically for each row. So I just like to fold down along the border off to the right hand side. I do this for each page except the last page of each row since we're not lining it up to anything. I also skip any pages where the pattern piece is already whole, just to save some time. After each row is done, I then go in with a metal ruler and rotary cutter and cut along the bottom border. You can also do this with scissors. And remember, you don't need to do the bottom edge of the last row since we're not lining it up to anything. Next, line up the borders, tape it all in place, and cut out each pattern piece one by one. Sewing the back waist dart. Starting off with the back skirt and back shorts. On the wrong side, mark the dart points and the dart legs. I also like to clip along the seam allowance to create notches. Now fold the dart in half, right sides together, lining up the notches and the point right along the folded edge. Start at the waist seam and a few back stitches to secure the thread. Sew along the dart legs towards the dart point, gradually narrowing down for a tapered finish. Once you reach the dart point, instead of backstitching, leave a few inches of extra thread at the ends and knot it by hand. Assembling the skirt and shorts. For the skirt, we're just going to sew along the side seams, making sure to leave space at the notch for the zipper opening. Next, line up the front and back shorts together along the rise, making sure to match up the crotch inseam. I like to start sewing from the middle just to make sure it's all lined up at first. For the hem, normally I would do a turn and fold stitched hem for a clean finish, but since I'm working with linen and it's kind of sheer, I'm just going to do a single fold. Attaching the skirt to the shorts. We're going to turn both the skirt and the shorts right side out, and all we're going to do is put the skirt inside of the shorts and line it up along the waistline, matching up the side seams and the darts. Stitch it in place, and once finished, we're going to press the seam allowance towards the side of the shorts and sew an understitch along the upper edge. Keeping the skirt separate, line up the needle to the waistline of the shorts to sew an edge stitch, making sure to only sew through the shorts and all of the seam allowance layers so that the stitch is only visible from the inside. Attaching the invisible zipper. Lay the side of the skirt right sides up, keeping the shorts separate. Prep the zipper by ironing the coils outward and lay it face down along the open seam and pin it in place. Use an invisible zipper foot to stitch it down. And remember, you can adjust the width setting on your machine to move the needle around to find that perfect spot. Stitch it down as far as you can before hitting the zipper pull, leaving a small gap in between. For the opposite side, flip the zipper over to the right and flip it again one more time towards the right so that the zipper is now face down. Line it up with the seam allowance and take your time to really make sure the zipper is lined up. Stitch it down, and once finished, trim off the excess zipper tab at the top and pull the zipper through the gap to make sure it lays flat and works properly. Now for the shorts, we're going to have it wrong side up, and I like to work through the leg opening to have a better view. First, we're going to clip the notch at the zipper opening as close as you can to the seam allowance. And this is so we can fold it inwards and get that clean finish along the zipper. Next, what we're going to do is reach underneath the shorts to the upper corner and pinch together the seam allowance for both the skirt and the shorts. Hold it in place to keep it all aligned and flip the shorts over to the opposite side. The zipper is going to be covered at this point, but line up the seam allowances and pin it in place. Since the zipper isn't visible right now, switch over to the edge stitch presser foot and just feel along where the zipper is to make sure the needle won't hit it, and sew it down like how we did before. And repeat for the other side. Now we're going to close off the bottom gaps for both the skirt and the shorts. So all we're going to do is just move the zipper off to the side, and for the gap, line up the seam allowances and stitch it down. Lastly, we're going to finish the seam allowance of where we clip the zipper notch. So just turn the upper corner inwards to create a diagonal fold and top stitch it in place. And finally, we're all finished. I think this pattern is really beginner friendly, and it's great because it works with such a variety of different fabrics. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and thanks for being here.